So everybody, thank you for coming this terrible night. I can't describe it any other way. I'm Dan Burnham, Chair of the Environmental Advisory Council for Radnor Township. And this is the second in our 2026 series of EAC lectures. I'm very grateful to Pam Sador and Radnor Memorial Library for offering this very familiar venue to the Radnor community, because we get a good response here. So I'm going to welcome Kimberly, your last name? Vivek, okay. Yeah. I just knew her as Kimberly in the emails.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming out and talking about this really important topic of reducing waste in our lives.
Happy to be here.
Thank you.
Happy to be here. So like Dan said, my name is Kimberly Vivek. So grateful for y'all coming out on this misty weather night here. I am the co-owner of Mainline Shift in Narberth. We are in our 5th year in business now, so I feel like that we're really getting into our stride. We kind of moved through that beginner stage and messy middle and constantly figuring things out, and like iteratively through this evolution, we're learning what the community wants and trying to constantly grow and evolve and go wherever we're meant to go. So I'm happy to be here tonight to talk about what I think is a very unique approach to sustainability and something that a lot of people don't often think about. So Alicia is my business partner. She couldn't be here tonight, but I'll talk a little bit about both of our approaches and how we got here as we dive into this introductory lecture for low waste lifestyle. So, there's so many definitions and words and phrases around sustainability or environmentalism, eco, all the things. But really, when we distill it down to the most basic thing, it's like, how are we meeting our needs and wants and desires without compromising the future generations' ability to meet their basic needs and wants and desires? I am a mom of 2. I have a 14 and an 11-year-old. And really, my daughters are what got me started on this journey, specifically around lowering my impact, lowering my waste. So before we get started, just a quick show of hands. Generally speaking, how are you feeling about creating a sustainable future? Are you doom and gloom? Anybody doom and gloom?
Pretty much.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. I started in the doom and gloom. Are people like, we'll see how it goes? Is anyone thinking we've got this? Okay. All right, so hopefully by the end of the lecture, we're gonna swing everyone in the room closer towards the, okay, I'm feeling a little more hopeful, less doom and gloom. I now know some basic things I can start with to talk to my friends and neighbors and start moving us in the right direction around lowering our impact and our footprint. So back in 2013, I was living in Washington, D.C. in a teeny apartment with a 1-year-old and 2 dogs, working full-time, husband working full-time. Living this like crazy, chaotic little life in Washington, D.C. And I started seeing these types of statistics and they shook me. It was such an aha moment. At that point, I was so proud of myself. I was like, I'm a recycling queen. I'm really good at recycling. I know exactly what goes in that bin. But then when I started seeing these statistics and diving a little more into what low waste actually meant, I realized like, oh, I'm actually doing this completely wrong, which we're gonna get into. But I'm hoping one of these kind of stands out to you. They all stood out to me at the time. But 1 billion toothbrushes, right? So again, you see this little thing and you're using 4 of them a year because the dentist says so. And then you realize everyone on the planet's using 4 or more a year. My daughters like drop one on the bathroom floor and grab another one, But 1 billion of them are just sitting in the landfill. That's 50 million pounds of just toothbrushes every single year. And the other thing that shook me about toothbrushes, every single plastic toothbrush ever made still exists because it's plastic and it's meant to last forever. So I just was imagining like all the toothbrushes I've used in my lifetime, and my husband and my kids and my family, and they're all there. They're all just there on the planet. We just keep adding 1 billion more every year. Again, with disposable razors, 2 billion for people that choose to shave. That's 1 million pounds of plastic waste with your Venus and your Gillette razors that you're using in a year. And then again, you know, there's some things that are less of a choice for folks, but we're getting better with the plastic bag thing. Luckily, there's a lot of awareness around this, but again, we're gonna dive into a little bit of this. So like I said, in 2013, I was living in DC, recycling queen. My friends like joked, because I was really good at that. And then I was at a local mom's group with my 1-year-old one day, and a mom that I had become friends with was from France originally, and she said, my friend, Thea Johnson, wrote this book that I feel like you'd be really interested in. Now granted, at the time, I was working as an occupational therapist in the hospital setting. I was working on helping people find ways to live mindfully and simplify their lives and engage in their daily life, right? So I went home, grabbed this book from the library, blew through it in 2 days. I mean, it really just, it was unbelievable. It was the true aha moment for me. And then here we are now, 2013 to 13 years later, and my family makes 1 bag of trash a year. Okay? Keep in mind, in Washington, D.C. era, twice a week, we were that household, just 2 bags a week out to the dumpster. So, just through mindful swaps, mindful changes, some of these show and tell things that I'm going to show you, we just slowly made our way over the past 13 years towards creating the 1 bag of trash a year. Now, the zero part, a lot of people talk about zero waste. That's aspirational, right? I really try to frame it around low waste. How are we each going to make changes that don't feel hard? Again, you don't have to focus on the hard stuff, focus on the easy stuff. And then collectively, as a community, we're all going to keep moving the needle, which is what we see at the shop. So what Thea Johnson talked about in her book, Zero Waste Home, was what she called the 5 R's. So the most important thing to recognize about this decision tree is that you have to go in order. So we're going to go through these one by one. Don't jump to recycling. Start at the top, okay? So the thing about American culture that I realized reading this book, I was like, oh, we actually don't know this word. We don't know the word refuse. And I didn't know the word refuse. I wasn't practicing that in my daily life. I would go to a professional conference for therapy. I would get the bag and the notepads and the pens and all the things and bring them home. And I was like, why am I doing that? I could actually say no thank you. You know, going to get takeout that I'm going to go home and eat at my kitchen table. I could say no thank you to the takeout utensils and the little packs of soy sauce and all the things that come with it, right? So getting really comfortable with saying no thank you was something that I started working on instantly. And the great thing about it, it costs you nothing. It's absolutely free, right? So just thinking about as items come into my hands, do I actually need to bring that thing into my house and then have to think about how to dispose at the end of its life? If it's something I don't even need in the first place or don't even want, I could just say no thank you. So that's something I started practicing immediately. When you go to our website, which I'll show you the link to, we have the link to opting out of junk mail. That was the very first thing I did in 2013. I just went to this opt-out website, ditched the promos, the catalogs, the credit card offers. Granted, every once in a while those things will come into my mailbox. I'll look on the label and I'll find an email address or a phone number and I'll reach out and I'll say, please remove me. I don't want your information. So in the beginning, I did the opt-out. Now It's just like routine maintenance. And then again, we're getting really good about this now. I feel like this one is like, check, we've gotten that one under control. Narberth, the reason we picked Narberth to open shift was because they were the first municipality in the entire state of Pennsylvania to ban plastic bags and plastic straws. So I was like, okay, I live there. It made sense for a lot of reasons, but I was like, Narberth's being really forward thinking and we're trying to pioneer this thing. Let's introduce this new concept in this community.
Can I ask,
Yes.
does SHIFT stand for anything?
It does. What do you think it stands for?
Sustainable.
Yep, starts with sustainable.
Does it? I'm guessing.
Well, so it's shift with this logo. See how the I is kind of like offset? So it's like shifting your habits, your
Right.
routines, your perspectives, your lifestyle. So yeah, it's like
Okay.
shifting.
Oh, so it's not an acronym?
It's not an acronym.
Sustainable.
Okay.
It's literally just like shift, like a
Yeah.
tiny little shift. We say
Mhm.
our mantra is every shift counts,
Yeah.
right? So progress, not perfection. So
Cool.
after that item has come into your life and you cannot refuse it, right? Okay, toothbrushes, you can't refuse those. Then you gotta think about how am I gonna reduce the impact that this product that I need to have in my life has on the planet. So again, the plastic toothbrush pivot to bamboo, completely compostable at end of life. So part of what we do at the shop is we just try to make all those swaps as easy as possible. You need those things in your life, switch to the most sustainable option. We curate in the most sustainable option. Deodorant, right? Not something you're necessarily gonna ditch or refuse in your life, but how do you reduce the impact and the packaging? So, believe it or not, deodorant is the #1 refilled product in our shop. So this cream, you use a pea-sized amount, you rub it in, there's an applicator if you don't wanna touch it. It's the #1 product. It's really cool. I'll pass
Does
it
it smell
around.
good?
And do you bring it in and refill it? And
Yeah,
bring it
you
in
can
and
bring this
refill it?
jar in and refill it. Now what's really cool about it, it rubs in completely dry. Like I'm wearing it right now. But yeah, it's really cool. It comes from a company in Tennessee, which it operates on a solar powered farm. Little husband and wife owned company, they've been amazing. That's the funniest thing about that product is people go on double dates and they talk about the deodorant. Like and then they come in and they're like, okay, this is kind of
I have
an
to try
odd
this
story,
one.
but I was at dinner with so-and-so and we were talking about your deodorant.
Great.
So again, with your personal care products, that's where I started first in 2013. I started with what I used in my house. I was not trying to change anything my husband was using or my kids. I was like, I'm gonna lead by example and I'm gonna start with my own stuff. So I just very slowly switched my things over. Another thing was the razor. We talked about razors at the beginning. We have this stainless steel pivot head razor that we sell at the shop. It's infinitely reusable. No plastic. You put in old-fashioned blades. You bring the used blades back. We send them back to the company. They melt down the metal. They reuse the metal. So you can still shave. You're not sending anything to landfill. So again, it's not about sacrifice. When Alicia and I decided to start Shift on the main line, we knew it could not feel like a sacrifice. If anything, our goal was, our goal was, we needed to challenge the stereotype that living in alignment with the earth was crunchy, right? And Alicia and I don't want to sacrifice anything. None of us do. And if it feels like a sacrifice, you're not going to do it, right? There's just going to be like that friction in your mind. So when people come into the shop and they see this razor, they're like, oh my God, that's beautiful. Oh, and then it feels elevated. It feels like an upgrade. So you're getting an upgrade to your lifestyle and you're helping the planet. It's like a win-win. My daughter, who's 14, I bought her one of these last year. What I love about it, she'll never throw a razor away, 1. She'll also never have to buy razors, 2. So I set her up for success from day one. Couple of other show and tell things. This was the other thing, the other first thing that I brought into my house in 2013. So in 2013, after I read that book, the very first thing I did, I went and I looked in my garbage can, and it was like looking inside a magic pool. It told me exactly where I needed to start. When I looked in my garbage can, the very first thing I saw were so many paper towels. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna start with paper towels. Then that'll instantly reduce my impact. So I bought, for my birthday that year, I bought myself a birthday present. I bought 60 of these little bird's eye cotton cloths. They're called paperless towels. I still have 50 of them 13 years later. I have not bought a roll of paper towels since 2013. We just wash these up. We use them as dinner napkins, breakfast napkins. If I'm having company over, we use nicer napkins, but these are like our everyday napkin on the table. When they start getting a little raggedy, they go into my rag bin. And like I will literally, I think I've composted maybe 8 of them since 2013. They're completely compostable at end of life. But they're lightweight, so they wash up really easy. So again, not a sacrifice.
Do they come in a larger size?
These are the standard size,
Mhm.
but we do have some other options at the shop.
Okay.
Okay, the other thing to show you for show and tell, now this isn't something that I had in my life until we opened the shop, but this is called a Nordic or a Swedish dishcloth. This is what I use in my house in place of paper towels or rags. I'll clean my windows with one. I will wipe my counters. I'll clean my bathroom with one. I'll even wash up like gentle glassware, wine glasses and stuff like that. They're made of cellulose. They're completely compostable. And this replaces 17 rolls of paper towels. So if this is a bridge too far, this could be like an in-between option.
Is that like a sponge?
It's like a sponge, and
So
then
when
when
it
you
gets
wet
wet.
it gets really light and fluffy. Yeah.
Hmm.
And then, when you're buying it from us, we take anything we sell you back at end of life and we'll compost it complimentary. Or, thank you. Or if you have access to a curbside compost program or a drop-off program, you can put it into there. Okay. I'll just go through the other things really quick for show and tell. We have all of your basic household products refillable. So in the shop, we have these grab and go options for people that want to try laundry detergent, dishwasher machine detergent, hand soap, dish soap. We have about 100 products that replace the everyday bottles of plastic that you're buying at any big box store. So I'll point to that on the website. Lastly, again, all your scrubbies and plastic things in the kitchen, we have compostable or infinite reusable plastic-free swaps. And then dryer balls are a replacement for dryer sheets. They're made of wool. The great thing about the dryer balls, they reduce your drying time because they're absorbing moisture during your drying cycle, and then they work together and juggle to soften your clothes. So I bought these in 2013 to ditch dryer sheets, which are atrocious for the planet and your body. Okay. Yes. Yes. You had a
The
question.
dish detergent,
Yes.
so it doesn't make a lot of suds,
Right.
and it's supposed to be like that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. One thing that I had to realize when I first started using these products, they put foaming agents to make you think more bubbles means more clean, but it's really it's relearning the marketing brainwashing that has happened to you. Yeah. Yeah.
So you're using a dryer. Do you have a rack and those
I
kinds
do.
of things to avoid using a dryer?
Yeah. I have a double clothesline in my basement. I'm running my dehumidifier and all of that.
Yeah.
I do try to hang as much as possible. There are some things that I do use my dryer
I agree.
for.
I do it every now
Or
and then.
use it to fluff
Yeah.
off.
Rarely.
Cause then they think your clothes will last longer if you don't
That's right.
beat them up.
Well, it's so funny. There's some just crazy things that I've learned along this journey. Like, I didn't realize until this lifestyle started that dryer lint is literally pieces of your clothing falling apart. And most of it's microplastic, because most of our clothing is made of plastic. But that dryer lint that you're scraping off and throwing away is basically just your clothes falling apart. So, anyway, a couple more things. Reducing, right? It's not just reducing physical things. Minimizing your energy use, playing around this time of year, bumping your thermostat down a degree. In the summer, bumping it up a degree. Instead of driving to go get a baguette or coffee, if it's a nice day, walk, right? If it's a close errand. Bulk grocery is almost like a low-waste 201 type of conversation. But if you're looking to buy your pantry staples, for instance, in bulk, Mom's Market has really great options to get you going with that. Buying your spices there, you can bring your jars and refill them. I do a lot of my shopping at the Radnor Farmers Market just because that's closer to me, so that I can buy produce that's not bagged. I can go to DeBruno's is gone now, but I used to go to the DeBruno's counter with my reusable tin, and they'd put my cheese in there, you know, that kind of thing. All right. So once you've tried to refuse it and you can't, and you've tried to reduce it and you've reached a point where you can't anymore, then the question is, can I reuse this item? So you've gone to the store, you've bought your applesauce in a glass jar instead of plastic, and you're feeling really good about that. Now you have an empty glass jar. The question is, can I reuse this? If you can't reuse it, maybe you're gonna offer it up on your Buy Nothing group. How many of you are familiar with Buy Nothing?
I know of it, but I'm
So
not
Buy
part of it.
Nothing is a community mostly on Facebook. I am not on Facebook anymore, but the really great thing about Buy Nothing is it's kind of a free cycle. It's a free neighborhood exchange. When I have things that I can't personally reuse in my life any longer, when I'm done with them, I offer them up on that group. Or I'll go there and ask for an odd thing instead of trying to buy new. So with the secondhand thing, I always tell this example. When my oldest started kindergarten, she needed a ruler. The very first thing most of us are gonna do is we're gonna run out to Staples and buy a ruler. I thought, you know what? I'm gonna go onto that Buy Nothing group and just ask my neighbors if anyone has a ruler. This lady replied to me and she said, I am really embarrassed to admit, I am an empty nester with 12 rulers. And she said, I guess over the years, like every school list would come out and we just go buy another ruler. So she's like, I will give you 2 rulers. And my daughter was so excited. She got like this pink ruler that I probably would have never bought her anyway. But anyway, it's a perfect example of just like, I put that ask out there instead of going and buying it new, and then boom, got a ruler. I always do that when I either, if I need like an odd thing, I'll ask a neighbor to borrow it or something like that. At the shop, we have a lot of secondhand curated stuff on one side of the shop. So you can get home goods, you can get giftables, you can get Second Life candles, you can get clothing, all kinds of stuff, in addition to refills. The other thing for reuse is repair. So we have a really popular monthly knife sharpening event at the shop. You can get your knives serviced and keep them in good use. We have twice a year a mending station where we have a local tailor, seamstress come, and she'll mend your clothes for you. We do have a few other events around this where we bring in local makers just to help mend or teach a skill around repair and reuse. Refill, we've been talking about that. Since our shop opened, actually I would need to redo the math, but we've now, as of November, we surpassed 75,000 refills. So that's 75,000 containers that we've diverted from the landfill since opening. So when you're feeling hopeless, doom and gloom, and you're like, what's the point of me trying to reuse this one container? Again, that collective action of all the community coming together is really cool to see add up. And then repurposing, we have a lot of collections at the shop for repurposing. We collect corks for an artist collective, we collect old metal lids, we collect bottle caps, all types of things. The bottle caps get made into bike racks. Again, so many things. So keep an eye out on the website for the repurposing. Okay, so now we finally got to recycling. So again, our default is recycling comes first. It's actually way down. So is anyone familiar with wish cycling? Yes, tell me what wish cycling is.
Well, you're putting things in the recycle, but it's not truly gonna be recycled,
Yeah, you're
which is
taking,
most of the recycling.
yes,
Which is most of it.
I know. You're taking that bag that your spinach came in, and you're just like, I really think this is recyclable. I really hope it's gonna be recycled. Okay, that's called wish cycling. Now, the problem with wish cycling is all of your neighbors are doing that. So the recycling truck comes around, they dump all your curbside bins in, they go to the recycling facility, and the process once the truck gets there is they will take a small amount from the truck that has been collected. As soon as they determine that 10% of that sample is tainted, the entire truck goes to the landfill. So recycling is a team sport. You've got to do it right, and your neighbors have to do it right. And even though the sad thing is people are unintentionally doing this, they're not trying to sabotage the system, right? But wish cycling and taint are huge issues. The entire recycling system is broken. So with the shop, we just try to sidestep it. That way you're not stressing about that dilemma. Yes?
What's an example of contamination, like what
Yeah,
would
describe
contaminate?
tainted.
Okay.
'Cause I don't
I've
like
had to
them.
stop
Spaghetti
doing my
jars.
weekly walks on recycling day because it's depressing. Okay. So things that I see most often in Narberth are recycling being bagged in a plastic bag.
Recycling what?
It's put into a plastic trash bag and
Oh,
then
okay.
put in the recycling bin. Plastic films will jam the recycling machines. You can't put plastic films into
Right.
the curbside bins, at least in Narberth. So I see that, as soon as I see that, I'm like, oh my God, that's all going to the landfill. Another thing that a lot of people do is they wish cycle their pizza boxes. So the cardboard, as soon as it gets food residue on it, it's tainted. You cannot recycle cardboard that's soaked in pizza grease. Or, you know, I'll see the recycling out on a rainy day and all the cardboard's soggy. You can't recapture wet cardboard. So I'll also just see really odd things that, again, they're just being wish cycled. They'll put like a paint can in there, or they'll put styrofoam. You
Yeah.
cannot put styrofoam in your curbside bin.
Right.
Or
Annually,
milk cartons, you can't put milk cartons either, can you?
in Narberth, you can.
Oh.
That's actually a new change with our newer waste hauler, but I know it's not across
I don't think we
the
can do
board.
it here,
Yeah.
right?
No.
It's a no milk.
Yeah. Okay, so styrofoam is another one. As soon as I see that, I'm like,
Yeah.
we do an annual collection at the shop. Have you been to our shop when we do the styrofoam collection?
I have not.
Oh my, it would take up this whole room, and we only do it for one day. People will just save their styrofoam in their basement for the year, and then they'll just bring it. And then we have a team of volunteers that drive electric vehicles, and they bring it to Chalfont to Northeast Foam Recycling.
Foam
So-
recycling.
And it has to be clean.
Has to be clean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are states where, at least for food, that's illegal.
Yeah,
Portland is one of those, but
Right.
it's still in packaging of all, you know,
That's right.
things that people, you know, small appliance, coffee
Yeah.
things or whatever packaging.
Yeah.
So it's in every state. The one other comment I wanted to make is in terms of wish cycling or whatever you wanna call it, is I've lived in apartment complexes. I've never found an apartment complex anywhere where everybody does what they're supposed to, either with the trash or the recycling.
Right.
And
Yeah.
they contract with different companies than the township does. So all the education that the municipality does on what you
Right.
can recycle
Yeah,
does not apply, and they're all different. I mean, I have an apartment building next to me that contracts with somebody else.
right.
And so it's a very difficult problem, because you can't police it either.
Yeah.
People.
I mean, you're right, knowledge is power, we're always a resource, we do a lot of consulting and, with local municipalities and owners of apartment buildings, it's really just about education, raising awareness, right? Narberth, like most townships right now, you're feeling the pinch, the cost of trash hauling is astronomical, and it's gonna go up fourfold. I mean, there are no more contracts for landfills. All of our landfills are full.
There's that
So-
incinerator, don't forget.
And then, yeah, some areas are choosing to incinerate, right? So, when I talk to municipalities, I'm trying to help them realize that if we do some education, it's actually gonna save taxpayers money, right? Knowledge is power. So, a lot of the stuff we do is focused on just raising awareness, awareness building, teaching and guiding. So yeah, curbside, again, like we just talked about, every township is different. Know what's accepted in your bin, but also the reality is, and I've verified this, in our area, the average rate for recycling plastics is 5%. On a good day, they might see 20% of what they're taking in is getting recycled. So their system is just beyond repair. So I think we're just at a moment now where we really have to start thinking about how to go around it. So that's where we are trying to approach it. For things that are at end of life that cannot be reused, old sneakers, clothing that's just tattered and worn out and full of holes. We are a drop-off site. We partner with a local company to be a drop-off site for those type of items. We also have a guide on our website for reuse and recycling where you can go plug in anything and it will tell you the local drop-off option. So I am very busy, right? I run the shop. I have 2 kids. I mean, I'm balancing chaos in every area of my life. I am not spending a 24/7 job figuring out where to recycle things. What I do, the system in my house is in my basement, I have a shelf. There's a little thing for batteries, there's a thing for corks, there's a thing for bread tags, all the things that I know from the shift guide that there is an option for reuse or recycling responsibly. I have a little collection bin, and at the end of the year, part of like my New Year thing in my house is we turn that shelf over and like freshen it up for the new year. So I actually just did that in January. So I take my contact lens packaging to my eye doctor where he does a recycling program with Bosch and Loam. I have a medical situation that requires sharps. I collect my sharps. I bring them to the township building for sharps recycling and rescue. So again, I know where all those things go. I don't think about it unless it's January. And my family knows if it's a dead marker, they know where to bring it. If it's an old gift card, again, I've got recycling bins for everything in my basement. I'll point you to that guide. It's a really, really great resource. Styrofoam coolers. If you get medication that comes to your house in the cooler with the freezer pack, save the box, save the cooler, save the pack. There's a local dog food company that reuses all that packaging to deliver their dog food locally. So again, with the styrofoam collection, we get a ton of those coolers. This year, I think I rescued 36 coolers and brought them to the owner of that company to reuse. So we even diverted some styrofoam for reuse with that. All right, so rot is the 5th R. It's actually one of the other, like, first step things that I did in my house. So when I looked in my garbage can in 2013, I saw all those paper towels. I saw even cotton rounds, which we sell these reusable ones at the shop. Again, that's another thing that I just was able to do away with. And the other thing I saw was a lot of food waste. We do a ton of cooking in our house. We very rarely go out to eat. There were the tops of onions and the innards of bell peppers and celery head, you know, all the things. I saw a ton of that in my garbage can. And I said, okay, I'm just gonna get that out as a first step. And instantly, my trash output went down to like once a week, because there was just so much food waste in my trash. Now, people always ask me, how do you not take your trash out for a whole year? Doesn't it smell? It doesn't, because there's nothing in it rotting. Right? And so generally speaking, the rule of thumb, you know, my household has lots of hair, right? My daughters have long hair, I have long hair. Hair goes into the compost bin. Toenail clippings can go in the compost bin. Ear swabs, we sell plastic-free ones at Shift. Those can go into a compost bin. Again, the main thing in my house, I used to have, years ago, my kids are older now, and this is like, at this point, all they've ever known in this lifestyle. Years ago, I have a flip-top garbage can. I used to have a little sign on top that said, stop! And then next to it, I had a little Post-it with the last time we took our trash out. And when I say a teeny little Post-it with the date on it, talk about a motivator. So they'd go over and just like throw that thing away that they didn't care to think about. And they'd stop, and then they'd look at it, and then sure enough, they'd be like, darn it, this is compost. You know, it would just break that mindlessness, right, that we all get sucked into. And then, after it had been a couple of months, they'd see that date on there, and they'd feel guilt. They'd be like, oh no, it's been 2 months since we took the trash out. That's pretty cool. Okay, let me think about that. And when my kids were little, we had this like little bin next to our garbage can. It would be like the mama check this bin. So if it didn't go in the garbage can and they didn't know where to recycle it, they'd kind of drop it there. It was like a little holding area. And then every couple weeks I'd go through and like educate them. I'm like, oh, this would actually go here. This is compost. This is true trash. So hey, put a sticky note on your trash can. It's really motivating. I used to have friends that would text me, how long has it been? I'm like, it's been 9 months. Oh my God. Yeah, it was really funny. A friend had actually told me to do the sticky note. I was like, that was smart. But for rotting, if you don't have access or the need for curbside, because curbside tends to come on a schedule, we at the shop have a drop-off program. So for apartment condo dwellers or people that just don't make a lot of compost, they'll come buy a bucket, and then however long it takes to fill, they'll bring it in, pay a swap fee, get an empty bucket. So we have the drop-off program, curbside is an option, maybe backyard is something you want to learn how to do or love to do. I do have a backyard bin. I don't use it in the winter. I supplement with the drop-off. And then there's just some things I don't want to put in my home compost. The other thing, and I'll tell this to students that come from Villanova, they all shop at Mom's Market. I'm like, get a little Tupperware, put your food scraps in there, keep it in your freezer, and when you go to Mom's Market, put it in their compost, because they allow community compost at Mom's, yes.
So, what do you do with, I mean, maybe you're vegetarian, what do you do with meat? You can't put that in compost.
We are a very low meat household, yeah.
So, I mean, freezing is one way, but I mean.
Yeah, so again, we don't eat a lot of meat in our house. When I do buy meat, I get it from the butcher with no bone or
Okay,
anything.
all right. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep,
Anyway, it's worth mentioning, because that's, I mean, that could be an
100%.
issue,
yeah,
for sure.
yeah, and you don't have to
That's
ditch
good.
meat,
Oh.
like, I mean, meatless Monday, you know, there's a few
Sure,
options,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're very low meat, I will say that. And then the other thing to flag with the alternative methods, there's lots of tech out there for composting. There's this device called a Lomi, where you put it on your counter and overnight it makes compost, okay? Gwen at Mother Compost will tell you that is not compost, right? That is just dehydrated food that looks like earth. But the most important thing to keep in mind, as with any tech, as Dan and I were talking about before the lecture, what you need to think about is the before life and the afterlife. So think about all the resources that went into making that piece of tech that's gonna do the magic thing. And then when the thing breaks or reaches end of life, all the resources and mental stress figuring out what to do with that thing, okay? So proceed with caution.
So, yeah, there's one other thing I'd like to mention, just while we're talking about food waste.
Yeah.
Is I've recently learned that those supposedly green bags that you can put into
Yeah.
compost, you know, things on your kitchen counter, they only actually disintegrate in very specific circumstances
Right.
of a high temperature. And
Yes.
otherwise, they end up contributing PFAS, so it's a
100%.
greenwash product,
Yes.
really. Which is very depressing to learn that, because I'm sure many people think they're doing the right thing and using it.
I know, it's tricky.
Even the ones that Mom's Organics, where they, even those?
There, okay, there are some that don't have added PFAS.
Okay.
There's so much PFAS everywhere at this
Yeah.
point. It's just all over the place, right? It's in our garden, it's all over. But the thing to keep in mind, Gwen, who is our buddy, we love her at Mother Compost, she reached out to us last year and she was like, you were right. Because we were questioning the compostable green bags. She said, Chris, who does the actual compost turning at Linvilla Farm, reached out and he's like, stop with the green bags. They are actually not breaking down.
Mhm.
They're supposed to break down within so many days.
Yeah.
He's constantly raking them out of the compost. And so Mother Compost is trying to move away from those two. When people do the drop-off program at Shift, we line that bucket now with just a paper bag that's being reused. So yeah, progress, not perfection. Someone actually just emailed me today asking if we sell those types of bags. And honestly, if you're buying that type of bag as a trash bag, it's going to the landfill where it is not getting oxygen or sunlight or any anaerobic process that would break it down. So save your money.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly. All right, so this is something that resonated with me in the early days, and I always tell this to people, right? We don't need a handful of people doing it perfectly, we need millions of people doing it imperfectly. So thinking about what feels easy. If this razor feels really intimidating, don't start with the razor, right? Start with a lip balm that's in a cardboard tube. And literally, I know, it's so good. This is from a company in Baltimore that we love. But literally, like, if there was something tonight that resonated with you and you're like, oh, that's pretty cool, and it doesn't feel hard, that's where you start. When you go home and you look in your garbage can, it's gonna be really eye-opening. And something's gonna strike you as like a no-brainer, and something's gonna strike you as hard. Don't start with the hard thing, right? If we're all doing it, we're making progress. So, okay, some homework. If you wanna get started, very first thing tonight, go home and look at your trash can. It's gonna tell you where to start, okay? The other really fun thing, I have students do this when I go into schools, is calculate your eco footprint. Have you ever done that before? There's a really cool website called Eco Footprint Calculator. I think it's on the next slide. We do it annually to track our progress. So you do the calculator, when you get to the end, it gives you a date. And the date is the day of the year that you, as an individual or a household, have exhausted your share of earth resources. So you want that date to be really far into the year, okay? I went into Agnes Irwin a couple years ago and I did this exercise with the 11th graders. And there was a student there who had 5 siblings, so 7 people in the household. And she actually like audibly gasped when she got to the end and she got that date. I think it was February 2nd. She goes, oh my God, you know. It was a memorable moment. But hey, she was like, oh, but what was so cool, she was sharing with her classmates after she was embarrassed. She was like, oh, there's some really easy things on here that I've never thought about that I'm gonna go home and talk about at the dinner table. And then she emailed me a few days later. She said she actually went home that night and had every one of her siblings do it and her parents and like compared notes. And then she's like, we came up with like a game plan, like some family challenges to work towards. Active transportation, we talked about that. Walking, biking, taking the train to Narberth to come to shift instead of driving. If you go to our website, we have a beginner breakdown, which is about 16 weeks of weekly challenges, which touches on some of the things that we've talked about tonight. And then just getting involved. I mean, when I say get involved, it could be as easy as having a conversation with your neighbor, talking about recycling being a team effort, teaming up with a buddy and doing a 30-day challenge. Lots of ways to get involved. We also have a lot of ways through the shop to get involved. If you're ever looking, we do all these recycling collections and we always partner with community members to make it an easier lift. So this is that calculator I was telling you about. This one's really fun and interactive. My kids really like it. And then on the website, Mainline Shift, you're gonna go, there's some tabs at the top. The one all the way to the right is the guide. It's gonna take you to this online guide. You can literally search for anything. You can type in styrofoam cooler and it'll give you that address I was talking about earlier. Contacts, all of the things. The other thing, these are the beginner breakdown weekly challenges. That's also on our website. And then our events page, that will tell you when the knife sharpening is happening. When we do our in-person, in-store low waste lectures, we do clothing swaps, we have so many things, recycling, collections, reuse, repair. Yes?
Kimberly, Pam, do you wanna talk about, what the library does with the plastic bags? Because I started bringing my what plastic bags I have here because according to Joyce, a company picks them up and makes furniture and you have a bench or something.
I wish I could answer that, Carol, but that is the director, that is Joyce. Joyce would know all about
Great.
that.
But there's a couple places.
But you're right,
the
furniture.
library and a couple
Beautiful.
others. And
That's
they,
right.
so whenever I get plastic bags, I try not to, but sometimes
Right.
it's
Yeah.
inevitable. I save them and I bring them to the library. I just drop some off. They have a big container, and then a company comes and then
Right.
That's great.
they made the library a bench.
That's right. That's right,
Yeah.
right there in the corner.
You're going to have plastic coming into your life. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
now, when I go to Acme or Giant or any big box store, I can't unsee it.
Right.
Every aisle I walk down, I'm like, oh my God, because I don't really shop at the conventional stores anymore. I really do buy we make everything, not from scratch per se, but it's shocking to me. Everything's in plastic. And even the things that used to not be in plastic are now in plastic, right? So, yeah.
But so we have the farmer's market here too, 3 days a week, and they always stand the produce with the plastic bag. I have a mesh thing, with the,
Yep.
that I can throw in the washing machine.
Yeah.
And so they know me now. They're like,
That's
"Yeah,
good."
no plastic.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I'm preventing, a whole lot of
So
bringing.
many.
I have every now and then, I have a little
So many.
stockpile of maybe 4 of them.
And you know what? You don't even have to, like, people are thinking, oh my God, how do you make your own bread? I don't do any of that.
Yeah, yeah.
I do not do that. I go to the cheese shop, which is like our little local market. I bring my bread bag. They put the baguette from the Metropolitan Bakery into my bag. Or I'll walk to Whole Foods in the Wynwood, not that far of a walk for me. I will go to the bakery, I will grab the baguette from there and put it in my bread bag, or the ciabatta, or whatever, and just forego the plastic bag. Yeah, there's always options. And the most important thing, like, in the beginning when I went to DeBruno Brothers, it was a little awkward walking up to the counter with my own container and like asking, can you put Parmesan in here? But I just decided to get bold about it, and then after a few times, well, I just acted like I knew what I was doing and like I had done it 1,000 times. But then once I had done it 1,000 times, even if they questioned me, I was like, oh, they do this for me all the time. And then the person behind the counter would be like, oh, okay. And I'm like, yeah, you just put my container on there and you hit tear. And they're, oh, yeah.
It's saving them money.
It's saving
And then,
them money.
educating
know.
them that you're saving them money.
Exactly,
Yeah.
'cause-
And they do that in Europe?
Yes. And
Oh, for
somehow
sure.
they're all managing just fine, right?
Yeah.
So when you walk into our shop in Narberth, this is our refillery. So like we talked
Nice.
about earlier, we have about 100 products, and we really have everything you could use in a typical day. We have bug spray, we have sunscreen, we have aloe vera gel, isopropyl alcohol, very unusual products, but again, you need them. And then we have all of your typical everyday stuff like dish soap, hand soap, laundry detergent, lotion. And when you walk into our shop, we are full service, so you don't have to feel intimidated. You just come up to the counter, you tell us what you're looking for or thinking about, and we just help guide you. And then just like at the meat counter, when you go to DeBruno Brothers, we do all the weighing and pumping and all that for you. Which is great, because it really helps us make sure you're leaving with exactly what you need. So I really hope you come visit us. Myself, my business partner, our general manager, our staff, we're all super knowledgeable. We can answer any questions you want to throw at us. You can also reach out to us through our email that I'll show at the end. But hopefully, we're not feeling so doom and gloom now, right? We have a few tools.
What are your hours and days?
We're closed on Mondays.
Okay.
Tuesday through Saturday, we're open 10 to 6. And then Sundays are a slightly shorter day, but we are open on Sundays. Yeah. But if it's a nice day, like I said, come to Narberth. We do host groups. They'll come and get like a shop tour and a little field trip out of it, and personalized shopping. And like I said earlier, every shift counts. So we really try to be no shame. People will go to the coffee shop and get their espresso or their latte in their to-go mug, and then they'll walk in and I'll see them like this. Like they're so nervous. And I'm like, what are you doing? It's fine. Like, we're in no shame zone. They're like, oh, okay, I just feel so bad. I'm like, it's fine. Yeah. I did have a customer one time that walked in for the first time from the coffee shop, and she wanted to try something, and I am not joking. She finished her beverage in her to-go cup, went and rinsed it out, and then came back to ask me to put laundry detergent in it so she could take it home. And she was like, at least I'm reusing it. I was like, yeah, that's true. So even we have a laundromat in Narberth across the street, and people will come over all the time and they're like, can I just get like one load of laundry detergent to try? I'm like, yeah. So again, we just what you need. And then again, mainlineshift.com is our email address. I mean, our website. You can email us through the website if you have any questions. If you are a social media type of person, we are on at Mainline Shift. That's where we post updates about events and stuff like that. But I hope to see y'all come in soon.
Great.
Do you have a group called Shifties?
We do. We actually, well, Shifties are our
Shifties.
team members. But a friend of mine calls herself a shift fluencer. And now other people have caught on to that, and they're like, can I be a shift fluencer? Yeah, it's so funny. So, yeah. Any questions?
I have a very specific one.
Yes.
The plastic that's always on vitamin bottles, multivitamins,
Oh, like the shrink wrap seal?
Yes, that he has to try
Awful
to peel it
things.
with
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
the perforated holes. What do you do with that?
That's a tricky one.
I can't, I don't know how to make my own multivitamin, but
I know.
like I get bigger quantities, so it's less
Yes,
bottles.
yes.
I always hope they come in the glass bottle
Right.
because
Mhm.
I take it to Haverford glass recycling.
Yeah, so for my multivitamin, I buy the largest amount I can buy in glass. I normally get it from Mom's Market because they have really high quality, purity types of vitamins and stuff there. But yeah, that specific type of plastic is gonna need to go in your garbage can. And people ask me all the time, they're like, well, what is in your garbage can if you are still making some trash? And at this era of my life with kids, a lot of it is stuff coming home from school. So there's like weird stickers and laminated things, which really rub me. Some of it is medical waste in my garbage. Some of it is when I go to DeBruno and they have to give me that sticker that prints out of the machine. A lot of it are those types of stickers. But again, I'm minimizing the packaging, right? Progress, not perfection. So, lots of those things. Yes.
Well, we're empty nesters for the past 15 years. Likely in another 10 years, maybe sooner, we're gonna downsize. That is an overwhelming thought.
Yeah.
The first thing that comes to mind on one hand is 1-800-GOT-JUNK. The other hand is Goodwill. And has your group ever kind of thought of just a brochure or a piece of paper to guide people like us when you have appliances? I mean, our kids don't like our taste, so.
Right. That's a common refrain. Yes.
Yeah, so we have furniture and linens
Yeah.
and curtains, so.
So as you're downsizing, well, one, we do have someone in our community that specializes in that. That is her job.
Oh,
She
really?
helps people downsize, like in a very mindful, environmentally responsible way, which I can share her information. But aside from that, that guide would be really helpful.
Okay.
You would plug in furniture, and for instance, the Philadelphia Furniture Bank, which is a great organization in Philadelphia, they will come to your house and gather things that are getting used in our regional community. For nicer things, we do have an option through the shop called a downsizer sale, which will partner with couples and households as like a one-time thing to help them downsize and pass along things that they don't want to just give away.
Uh-huh.
So we do these downsizer sales at the shop, which is an option to think about for nicer things. And
Habitat for Humanity?
yeah, the
Yeah.
Habitat for Humanity Restore. The one thing I always caution people about is Green Drop. It's a for-profit business. They don't have a lot of transparency around diverting things responsibly. So I always say look to some other local nonprofits before Green Drop. Green Drop's right down the street in Arbor, so a lot of people do drop off there, but that was one thing I'd be a little more, like, do your research on, yeah.
Okay.
So I'm involved with the Neighborhood League, which is a very old nonprofit here in Wayne. And we have 3 shops. One is clothing, one is household, and then one is straight donation. And people come and you can consign or you can donate. We don't take big pieces of furniture. And then the money that we raise then goes back as a way of grants to other nonprofits that are doing.
Oh, that's so good.
So
Yeah.
we tell people, like, if you have sets of dishes, you know,
Right.
china, whatever, or if you have things you just wanna just give odd and ends, it can go to our donation shop. If you have clothing, and if we can't, if we can't really sell it in our shop, then we would give it to the donation shop.
Yeah, exactly. So like in closer to my house, we have the Junior League in Ardmore, the Bryn Mawr Thrift, which
Yes.
benefits the hospital system.
Yes.
So again, there's definitely some better options for responsibly getting things out of your household. So yeah,
There's, in
I love
Gateway,
hearing about that.
there's a consignment shop that takes big furniture. It's not a charitable thing, but quite reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
And, what's the one that a lot of you would know in Berwyn? I can't remember the name.
Goodwill?
No, in the next little strip mall, it supports.
Oh, Surrey?
Yeah, Surrey.
Mhm.
So they also take furniture and a variety of things, so.
Oh,
And
They have a storefront?
I believe, yeah,
Do they? Sure.
absolutely, yeah.
I didn't know that.
There's so many community
Absolutely.
benefiting
Yes,
I don't
organizations,
go
yeah.
down those
Okay.
streets. I can't.
Yeah.
I-
We even, so Liz, one of
This is
my
something that might be
staff members,
through the League of Women, right? It's
she
the website.
runs a nonprofit called Lower Marion Cares.
Uh-huh.
And so they just did a prom dress collection
Yeah.
to,
They're those things.
that
They're
was
wedding
amazing.
dresses. do
They
those
collect
kinds of things.
coats, in the fall for winter distribution to kids in the school district that do not have coats. So again, there's just lots of opportunities to pass along things that you don't have use for and not feel guilty about it.
Mhm.
Right, I'm with Dan though, because even though these things exist, it takes a really long
Yeah.
time to track them all down.
Yes.
So the
Yes.
greater ability we have to be able to try to,
Yeah.
have one
I hear
place.
you. I mean, we've even had some customers, longtime customers that have been with us since the beginning. They're starting to downsize and they're like, will you please just come look through my house and take whatever you want and resell it as a donation to what you're doing? Cause we do a lot of free events at the shop. And that's been really amazing, so we've done that on occasion. It's not a regular thing, but yeah.
And what about TerraCycle? That they do have a program for toothbrush, Oral-B as a program, for example.
They do, yeah. I mean, I would say TerraCycle, do your research. They're not as transparent as I would like to see with their back end. If you're looking for a more local option, there's Rabbit Recycling, which is a more local company based in Philly. It was started by two brothers and their friend. And they do very similar to TerraCycle, but they're much more community focused. So they partner with nonprofits, artist groups, contractors that are doing like social good projects. Yeah, so they do a lot of redistribution, not just recycling, which is what I love about them. I do use them through my household for some hard to recycle things that I know that they collect that I don't necessarily have a drop off for. So
Rabbit,
yeah,
rabbit like the animal?
Rabbit,
Like the animal?
yeah.
And do they do it by mail or do you have to bring it to the?
They come to your house.
Okay.
So there's two different, let me think about this. There's two different container options. I think you could do like a 5-gallon bucket or an 18-gallon like Rubbermaid tote.
Mhm.
I just get that 18-gallon tote once a year and it stays in my basement, and then when I turn over that shelf in my basement with all the hard to recycle things, I'll put the things I know Rabbit takes in there and I'll schedule a pickup. And then they come and pick up from my house. And then for the shop, so on the back end of the shop, we don't have a trash can, we don't make waste. So everything we do is what's called closed loop. So when you're coming in and you're buying hand soap, it's zero waste on the back end because we have a 55-gallon container of it in the back that when that is empty, and we have 8 of them, they get put on a pallet, sent back to the Ozarks, to the company we partner with. They sanitize, they refill those 55-gallon drums, and they send them back. So again, even on with the shop, we don't create waste. And we will divert things that just like in my household, things that are unavoidable that come into the shop. Like, we get these 5-gallon buckets that get sent back, but they have a seal on them that's plastic that you peel off. That seal goes in my rabbit recycling tote that we keep at the shop. And then once a year, it goes to them.
So you as a balance are aware of esoteric pieces of plastic as just about anybody on the planet.
Right.
Because
And
you're
thank you for your
conscious of every
efforts.
little piece of it, and it's impressive.
Yeah, and then the one thing I mentioned to Dan earlier that I just want to put on your radar, Staples, the store.
Yeah.
They have, in the past 2 years, really amped up their responsible recycling. And there are some odd things when you go to their website that you can bring into the store. And then you get a coupon, like you get a credit towards your purchasing.
Yeah, so I
So-
bring hearing aid batteries there, not only for me, but for a friend. Moms used to take some kind,
know.
but they don't do
Yeah.
whatever anymore, and
So, like-
I get points, you know.
Right,
and
so
people-
Staples, like, my kids are in the school age era, when folders and notebooks fall apart, they go on that shelf, and then Staples takes that type of stuff back. So again,
Really?
they have a
Huh.
pretty exhaustive list now,
Yeah,
of
that's great.
not only tech, but other, kind of lifestyle essentials that come into your house.
Yeah.
They take the markers that are used up